check. And we're underway here in New York City as the New Jersey Hammerheads get set to take on the New York Empire, as we see Marquez Brownlee putting it towards the end zone to get things started here in New York. The final game of the season here for the Empire at home on beautiful Randall's Island. Manhattan skyline in the background. And it's the Hammerheads starting the game on offense. Moving the disc all the way around. Comes back into the middle for Kenny Colello. He'll look to Brownlee. About 5 yards outside of the end zone. Hammerheads looking to get on the board here early. And they will punch it into the end zone. Little inside-out break there from Brownlee. And it's 1-0 New Jersey here early in the first quarter. I'm Charlie Eisenhood alongside Wesley Kronk. And Wes, it's great to have you back on the air. How are you?
I'm great, Charlie. How are you doing?
Doing well. And, you know, at this point, this game doesn't mean a whole lot in terms of the overall scheme of the season. With the playoffs already set, the Empire will be facing the Philadelphia Phoenix in 2 weeks on Friday night at Wildwood, a big beach tournament in New Jersey. And the Hammerheads really never got things going this season and haven't found a lot of success, although they did beat the Empire once in New Jersey. Yeah,
well, we talked about this earlier in the year and on our podcast about the division of talent in the Northeast. There's a reason that the MLU decided not to put a team in New Jersey and a team in New York, because they didn't want to divide talent. And it's definitely possible that New Jersey was the negative impact of that.
Yeah, and the thing is that as you see Hussein Carnegie looking to the end zone, and he's going to punch it in. Great throw from Carnegie there, hitting Cat Stevens in stride to tie this game up at ones.
There's a lot of hypothetical possibilities, possible explanations. Like we talked about at the beginning of the year, this period for the new teams would be an adjustment period, and this entire season would be an adjustment period, and the teams that adjusted to the new rules coming from the club side to the AUDL, we're going to be able to prosper and do better, more quickly, because they took advantage of the differences. The Empire, we know, are one of the more creative teams when it comes to how they set up and how they play their game, especially behind their coach. So, it makes perfect sense that the contrast is there between these two teams.
And the Empire get a D here. Their defensive line, second point of the game. They're going to move the disc all the way to the sideline here for Joe Babino. He'll look up, find Mike Drost just outside of the end zone. Drost looking to center it. Izzy Bryant makes the cut, gets the disc. Bryant holding and looking for something in the end zone. Cutter's not getting open downfield, but finds Lou Wong in the center. Wong's going to get it out to the outside for Babino. It's going to flip back to Bryant, and Bryant's going to come all the way across to Wong. Wong with the backhand break, looking for the end zone, doesn't quite get there. Just outside, it's Brenton Hard, and it's going to be a huge layout block from Jabron Miser, a name we just mentioned, and that's impressive stuff there, Wes.
And that's an important play for his squad, because even though this game doesn't mean a ton, they're here to win, and that would have been the first break of the game.
And so they'll get the disc back on offense, and it'll be the Hammerheads trying to move up the field on this overcast New York day. Been a little bit rainy in and out, but nice weather here.
Yeah, if the rain stays away, you can't really ask for better Frisbee weather.
That's absolutely right. And see the disc moving across to the far side now, and find Miser. Miser gets it back to the handler set. A little bit stagnant downfield from the Hammerheads, but it's Charlie Patton with it in the middle. Find Miser. Miser comes up the sideline. And Matt Weintraub gets it back towards the middle. And now they're going to look deep, floating it into coverage. Izzy Bryant back and with Mike Drost. And Bryant gets up over both offensive players and makes a great block. And that's the kind of stuff that they expect out of Izzy all season.
Exciting game so far. 2 quick scores, 2 big Ds on this point. You don't really expect a lot out of a game that doesn't have a lot of meaning in terms of the overall standing, but so far this has been a game of highlights.
Seen some great plays here early, and you know, at the end of the day, ending the season on a New York, New Jersey game is great. I mean, you know, I wouldn't quite call this a rivalry just because New Jersey's never really put the pieces together this season, but you know, they want to beat the Empire.
Absolutely.
And as we see Lu Wong get around the corner and put up the huck to the end zone, but this is going to float up as well. It's anybody's disc, but it's going to be the Empire coming down with it in the end zone over the top of the defense. And so that's a break for the New York Empire. It's 2-1, but it looks like there may be a call. Referee signaling maybe that this disc, it could be a not in call because he was certainly in the end zone.
I was wondering if there was going to be a call. It looked like there was a clear foul by the Empire pushing the back, and it seemed like Gibran was certainly calling for that. There's no real indication from the referees about what was happening. It seems like, you know, they're huddling over there. They don't really seem to know what's going on either.
It has not been signaled to be a score, so it looks like, in fact, it will be a turnover. Foul on the Empire, so that score is going to get taken right off of the board.
And that was an exciting play.
And more floaty hucks making for some big plays. Here's Gibran. Gibran's going to swing. A little bit of a dangerous throw there, but maintain possession and come to the sideline. Andrew Manganelli with it. Dumps back. And will come up the sideline to nobody in particular. Weintraub didn't see that disc or didn't think it was for him. As we see now, Brenton Hard just turfs it on a backhand. And now they're going to go deep, attacking Hard. It's going to be Gibran against Hard in the end zone. And Gibran's going to go up with two hands and make the grab. 2-1 New Jersey. They hold after what looked like a score for the Empire. I mean, it's interesting that you mentioned that, Wes, because some of the players on the Empire are playing at a tournament upstate this weekend and came back down for the game.
Right.
Hussein Carnegie, Seth Canetti, and a handful of others playing on Regulation USA Ultimate fields this weekend, and now having to step up into this game playing on the wider field and maybe feeling a little bit of that pressure. Here comes to Carnegie, and Carnegie's going to float it out into space for Jack Marsh. Marquez Brownlee in coverage, but Marsh is going to go up and make the grab. He's about 5 yards outside the end zone. He's going to dish it to Auerbach. Auerbach's going to float it into the end zone for Marsh. And Marsh has had an immediate impact for this team. Made a huge play a week ago for the Empire, and now he's back catching a score there. Nice play from Marsh, and it's 2-2. Marsh missing the middle of this AUDL season to help set up a circus, as we've mentioned in the past on the broadcast, in St. Louis.
It's a family business.
Absolutely. As we have a whistle, and we have an offsides call against the New York Empire.
Everybody's a little bit too anxious.
So it's going to be an immediate penalty against the Empire. And so it actually just going to be a warning here. The Empire going to have a chance to re-pull, but if they are offsides again, they will be punished. But the pull will have to happen from 10 yards back, as we see the the New Jersey players moving up about 15, 20 yards outside of their end zone and taking the pull from there. So the re-pull to happen here, but much like in the NFL, if there's an offsides play on the kickoff, they move it back and kick again.
It's interesting to see how much they've moved up, because it seems like they've moved up further than the Empire have moved back. You could hear from the sideline Carnegie yelling, "Well, just throw it over them now." And it seems like that's going to be the move.
Entirely possible with a good throw to get it over their heads and really back near the end zone.
Moving backwards is one of the hardest things to recover from. You would think that they would have some sort of idea of what they're doing.
There's the pull, and it will float right to about that line. So it worked out for the Hammerheads, and they'll bring it up the field. 2-2 the score. as a quick interception there from the Empire. Miscommunication between the handler and the cutter. And so it's going to be the Empire moving up the field here. Izzy Bryant gets the disc, and he swings out to the far side. Almost had a miscommunication of their own, but Ben Ivers made the play. Went to Phil Kay, back to Bryant. Bryant holding on the sideline. Throws the hammer over the top. That's not a great throw, but it connects.
Turned over before he wanted it to.
Mike Jost with it. Comes back to Bryant. Hammerhead's doing a good job pushing the Empire back, and Izzy doesn't like what he sees, so he's just going to take a timeout.
Smart call.
So timeout on the field. The score 2-2. No breaks yet in this game. And maybe a more even match than many expected to see here. The Hammerheads only won 3 games so far this season.
Well, we talked about some of the factors that could lead to this being a pretty even matchup, such as, maybe the Empire's top player and Hussein Carnegie playing a day of a tournament earlier today. So now he's going, this is his 4th game of the day instead of his 1st game of the day. That's going to be a factor if you're playing against a team that's coming in fresh. Empire missing a couple of their young, more athletic guys, which certainly could factor in. And, last game of the season, 2 teams that definitely want to beat each other because of their proximity geographically. There is always a chance for an upset, and there's always a chance for an exciting, close matchup.
And so far, everything looking pretty even. New Jersey playing better than we've seen them in the past. But the Empire have always been a second-half team, and it will not be surprising at all to see them pull away in this game. But really, the Empire's focus simply just is not on this game.
Oh, definitely not.
They want to win this game, but if they lose, it doesn't really matter to them. They're looking ahead to this matchup with the Philadelphia Phoenix in 2 weeks.
And you have to look at this game as a learning opportunity for them, and keep in mind that going into this season, there really wasn't a clear talent gap between any of these teams. 10 games is a small sample size, so the results could be misleading about what these rosters have to offer. Any team could put it together on any day, I guess, unless they're playing Toronto.
Toronto Rush undefeated as we see the disc get tapped back in here. Beautiful backhand break from Lu Wong, finds Bryant. And the Rush finishing out their season on the road this weekend. Play the DC Breeze today, won that game, and they'll play the Phoenix tomorrow. And the Phoenix are hoping that will be a preview of the Eastern Division Finals, as we have a bump on the mark here. So Bryant's going to get 10-yard advantage. He's going to be just outside the end zone as the Empire look to punch it in here and take a 3-2 lead with their first break of the game. Izzy goes to the end zone and finds him. So a 3-2, New York Empire take a break lead here in the first quarter. And if nothing else, if you're the coaching staff of the Empire, Tom Gibbons down on the sideline thinking, I don't want to get my guys injured.
Right.
You don't want to be in that situation in the last game of the season, a meaningless game, having a guy go down with an injury that's going to cost you in the playoffs. So we'll see some kind of substitutions we see in this game. Right now it's the Hammerheads on offense as we see them turf it here.
Seems
the
like
forehand
the
goes into the ground.
Wind picked up a little bit in the last couple of minutes going the other direction.
So the Empire D-line with another chance here. Wong makes a nice swing into the middle. Now it's with Hage. Hage pivoting, finds Wong. Wong looks to the outside, but comes back to the open side. Big bid from the New Jersey defender. It's going to come back into the middle. Now round for Wong, all the way to the far side. And Lu Wong's going to put it into the end zone, but it's not going to connect. That's a throw that he usually doesn't make a mistake on. That around backhand, always a good look for him. But not that time, as the Hammerheads will get it back on offense. And another quick turnover for New Jersey. just 10 yards outside the Empire end zone. So Wong will pick up. Disc is live. Wong looking. He's going to swing it into the middle, and there's a call. It's caught by Hage, but there's a whistle on the field. And I think we might have a stall here, Wes.
It's interesting because it seems to have been thrown back to the Empire.
In fact, there must have been a foul on the field against the Empire as we get the 10-yard penalty.
I think it was during the cuts.
Somewhere downfield, a bump from the Empire player, maybe a push-off, but it is going to swing into the middle. Huge bid again from the New Jersey defenders. They've been really putting their bodies on the line today.
They have nothing to save them for.
Yeah. End of the season, got to make it happen. Lu Wong with it. New Jersey pushing them back again. Here's Matt Lamar. He's going to go to the sideline, not into the end zone, but he's going to put it up the sideline. Can he toe his line? Yes, he can. That's a score for the New York Empire, 4-2. Very close play. Looked like maybe his toes kind of dragged onto the line as he made the catch, but the ref was right there and signaled that that was a score. And we will take this relief from this rain. And as long as it doesn't start pouring here, I think everybody's going to enjoy it.
Just seems like year after year, it just gets hotter and hotter. There's no way to explain it.
So the disc floating down now for the Hammerheads offensive line, who've given up 2 straight breaks. The Empire on a 3-0 run.
Come out in a zony look this time.
As we see, this has been very effective for them all season. Sort of junky zone looks. This is more of a standard 3-man cup as the disc advances to Brownlee, and Brownlee is going to rip a backhand down the field, but it's going to be a play on the disc in the end zone, and it's going to be a block from the Empire defender, and that throw was just a little bit too floaty for the New Jersey player to go up and get that without a contest from the Empire defender.
Yeah, and you know the zone is meant to force those ill-advised looks, and in this case, it's even more ill-advised when you're throwing the disc downfield to Mike Drost, who is among the lead leaders in D's.
Drost has been great all season in the top 10 for D's in the AUDL, and has absolutely been a stopper for them on some possessions. And the rain beginning to fall a little bit harder here. Could start to affect a player's grip on the field as Phil Kay gets it to Bryant. Bryant gets it ahead to Grenier. And Grenier goes back to Bryant. Definitely some new faces out here on the Empire line as the Hammerheads get the disc back here, and they're going to attack looking for Brownlee. Brownlee tries to make a play, but that disc never really had a chance over his head.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see whether or not the play gets a little sloppier here with the rain and the wind.
Going to tap it in. Oof. And the quarter comes to an end on a, what was, I believe, attempted to be a huck, but never really got any air underneath it. And
yeah,
hucking full field in this kind of weather, a little bit difficult.
It's really tough to get, a lot of the players out there are wearing gloves that can help this, but it's really tough in the rain to get the type of grip you need to put, the spin on the disc to get it all the way down the field. The distance just, it's not there in conditions like this.
So the score at the end of the first quarter, New York 4, New Jersey 2. You're listening and watching Ultiworld's coverage of the AUDL. And the Empire looking to close out the regular season with a win and take some much-needed confidence into that game with Philadelphia in 2 weeks. The poll is up here to start the second quarter in New York. The Empire leading the Hammerheads 4-2. And the disc coming into the middle there for Goose Santosis. Goose has been out with an injury, but he's back this week, and we see Jack Marsh now looking to the end zone, floating that throw perfectly to Taylor Brooks. Great throw from Jack Marsh as the Empire start off the quarter with a bang, and it's 5-2. And that game will take place in Chicago at the AUDL Championship weekend.
Yeah, the AUDL, they're really doing a great job scheduling these final games in the playoffs and the championship. Scheduling this game before Wildwood couldn't have been a smarter move. You just have a built-in audience, and you know they're going to be there.
If people are interested in watching a Pro Ultimate game, you can't possibly have put it in a better place.
Right?
Basically, the entire East Coast will converge on Wildwood, New Jersey for the largest beach tournament in the world.
It's crazy.
And this game between the Empire and the Phoenix will take place on Friday night. So the Hammerheads will bring it to the brick. And we have an immediate turnover on a poor swing pass. Matt Weintraub trying to grab that, and it was just too far behind him. So it'll be Matt Lamar swinging it to the sideline for Drost. Drost wearing some new yellow cleats. Haven't seen him in those before. It's Lamar. He's going to Izzy Bryant. That throw is going to float into a dangerous situation, and the Hammerhead player managed to make the D and avoid the contact that could have been bad.
Nice work by everybody to keep everyone uninjured in this game that doesn't really have a lot of consequences.
And that is the kind of throw that can cause the most rough collisions in Ultimate when it floats over the strike-cutting player's head. But the Hammerheads give it right back. It'll be Bryant picking up as they look to extend their lead to 4. 5-2 the score right now. Dish to Bryant. Nice throw. It's going to come all the way around. It's going to bounce off of his hands, but he's going to make the play. Sliding grab there from Ben Ivers after tipping it, and it goes to Elliot Bemis, who's going to get it up the field. Phil Kay gets to Bryant. Bryant's been doing tons of work for the handling there, and he's going to punch it into the end zone for Phil Kay.
That's
and it's 6-2.
Especially for a guy, Izzy Bryant, he's not a small guy, but he's not by any means the tallest guy in the field. He doesn't have the same type of length as some of the taller guys. Makes it all the more impressive.
Big pull from the Empire, score 6-2. And it's going to float down in front of the end zone as the Empire defense sets up. It's going to come ahead to Brownlee. Brownlee moves it up the sideline. They swing the disc across the field here. And they'll come all the way to the sideline. Kenny Colello with it, and he's going to put it towards the end zone. It's going to be a contested play, but it's going to be exactly to the right spot, and a nice grab there from Matt Takaron. So the score now 6-3. Empire ending a long drought there, a 5-0 run for the New York Empire.
Now, don't get me wrong, this is a game of runs. The AUDL game, we've seen that it's a game of runs. So there's certainly time for New Jersey to come back, but they were very close to letting this getting out of hand.
Yeah, and for the Hammerheads, it's just you can't have the kinds of mistakes that they've made so far. Drops on the first throw, as we see Jack Marsh almost drop a throw himself, but he manages to hold on, and then he's going to put it down the field to Carnegie, and Carnegie's going to go up and get his hand on it, but that's great defense from Marquez Brownlee, and that's a matchup that I hope we see more of in this game.
Oh, absolutely. There are very few people who can jump with Hussein, and somebody who has a little height on him is going to make it very hard on him to get open, especially and get up and get the disc like that.
Brownlee and Carnegie, probably the two most explosive players on their respective teams. Nice grab there underneath. And now they're going to go to the end zone. Some big steps for the New Jersey player. It's going to float up a little bit, and then we see a drop in the end zone. And this has been the problems that have plagued the Hammerheads all season long.
All game long, too.
And we've seen it so far today. And because of those kinds of plays, it's a 6-3 lead for the New York Empire.
Yeah, at the end of the day, frankly, that's not a play that someone playing professional Ultimate should be making.
So the disc comes underneath Jack Marsh as the offense looks to regroup after the turnover. It's going to come to Auerbach. Auerbach gets it ahead to Brooks. Brooks with a great throw to a laying out Auerbach. And Auerbach is going to put it to the end zone for Carnegie. And Carnegie is all alone, and he'll make the grab. 7-3 New York Empire. And those are the kinds of plays that it's not immediately apparent that they are costly, but if you're out of position because you make an aggressive play in a different part of the field, it can leave you very open to getting punished by a good catch or a nice throw.
Yeah, absolutely. And those are the kind of things it's hard to come kind of reprimand a player about, because it's an exciting play and it's a big play, and they did, they were at the end of the day able to make the play. But when you get to this level, it's a game of inches, and you need to have every advantage, and staying on your feet there is an advantage as opposed to being on your chest.
So the Hammerheads, as we watch them turn it over again, so Auerbach with the disc. Goes up, and now we have an Empire drop, and it's hard to say, make excuses.
We're thinking the same thing right now.
The weather may be playing a role, but these are just drops. It shouldn't be happening. The disc is not particularly wet. It hasn't been raining very much at all.
Yeah, these aren't slippery hands drops. These are just, loss of focus drops.
The Hammerheads moving it up the sideline now, and they'll look into the end zone and they'll throw it away. So miscommunication down there as well. I think probably looking for Jacob Price there in the end zone. Difficult to tell. Went in between two cutters.
Yeah. Neither
of them going to that spot.
Right.
So here's Wong with the disc. Gets the backhand break off to Ivers. Ivers gets it to Gabe Hage. And now we see a high release throw from Joe Babino. Looked like he got bumped, but no call from the referees. Typical so far this season. The AUDL refs really not making that call. Layout attempt there.
Him and his man are getting a little chippy now too. You could see he got up, went straight and bumped him. Then he got pushed down away from the play. Nobody seemed to see.
And another turnover from the Hammerheads as they try to punch it in up the sideline.
Each other. 55 and 25 going after each other on the field. They had to be broken up.
So some unhappy players down there. Joe Babino and Frank Harris getting into it a little bit, and now the referees having to meet up and talk about it. And not a lot of love between these teams. Definitely a game that both want to win.
Definitely a game they both want to win, and it looks like right now we already know who's going to come out on top, which really could lead to some interesting plays and some chippiness as we move on.
At the end of the season, oftentimes see in professional sports, things getting a little bit interesting once you know that there's not really going to be major repercussions for any extracurricular activity. And do we have a Callahan? No, there's going to be a foul called on the mark. So a 10-yard penalty against the Hammerheads. And the Empire will tap it back in. It's Gabe Hage with the disc.
So we have our answer, what it takes to get them to call a foul on the mark. It's a Callahan, apparently, because that was definitely a reactionary call.
Elliot Bemis with the disc, and he's hand blocked by Gibran, who's had an impact early in this game. And now we'll see if the Hammerheads can hold possession long enough to punch it into the end zone. And as I say that, there's a drop.
And you have your answer very quickly again.
I mean, this has just been a wild point of drops. We've had a fight, and now we have a timeout. And it seems like both teams need a second to get a little sip of water.
Yeah, that's a good called timeout, regardless of who calls it, because they definitely needed to stop and cool down a little bit.
7-3 the score, and the Empire definitely in control here, but a bizarre point.
Yeah.
That if the Empire score it, you almost feel like that's it.
Yeah, I mean, up by as many as they are right now, it's tough to come back from. I mean, they're up by well more than the Hammerheads have been able to put up so far this half. That always says something. If you expect a team to more than double their current production in order to just catch up, like that's a tough task for any team. And right now we're dealing with a team that's going to playoffs and a team that never really got it together this season in the Hammerhead. So you don't really expect them to make a vibrant comeback.
The Empire have shown an ability to get big leads in games and hold on to them. The only time they've really dropped a lead was in their first game against the Philadelphia Phoenix, when they nearly watched the game slip away in the final moments.
Yeah.
As they had a 5 or 6 point lead going into the fourth quarter and gave up 3 very quick scores, and all of a sudden found themselves right back in a tight game, and Philadelphia had a chance to win it or tie it up and send it to overtime at least at the end of the game. And as they threw it into the end zone, CJ Ouellette made a game-saving layout block to preserve the win for the Empire. And so now the disc getting tapped back in here. It's going to go ahead to Marsh, and Marsh is going to look to the end zone for Carnegie. Carnegie's going to go up, and he's going to make the grab on the sideline in between 2 defenders. Marquez Brownlee didn't like some of the contact downfield. Maybe thought he got bumped, but
he was trying to call that one out.
Looked like from here that it was in, and the ref right on top of it. The Empire have been the beneficiaries of some tight calls in this game, but the score now 8-3. And the Hammerheads, try as they might, really unable to get anything going in this game because they have not been able to hold on to the disc.
That's what it boils down to, disc security.
And always a critical part of Ultimate, but oftentimes the turnovers you see are on ill-advised deep shots, as we see a huge layout from Luong. Doesn't quite connect, but putting some pressure there. As we watch now Brownlee, perhaps the Hammerheads' best player, dropping the disc as well. And he's wearing gloves.
And that's really what you don't want to see is, maybe your best player and a guy who leads you on the field because of his play making easy mistakes.
And look at the throw from Mike Drost. Inside out flick to the far side of the end zone. And it's a quick Empire break. 9-3 the score.
Jersey Hammerheads 3.
And everything just melting down for the Hammerheads, and it just sort of encapsulates the season. I mean, you do expect that you're not going to run up the score here, but at the same time, the Empire are preparing for the playoffs, and if they want to get some lines running together and keeping that offense on the field as a unit, they may just continue to run those guys. Although I think we've already seen pretty wide open substitutions. It's just that the Hammerheads keep giving the Empire the disc.
Yeah, it does make it more apparent when the Empire have the disc when they have it constantly.
Gibran centers it. Charlie Patton swings it to the sideline. It's going to come back to Patton. Patton's going to go up the field to Gibran. Gibran finds Dustin Sullivan underneath.
It's one of the Hammerheads' better looking offensive possessions.
And now Gibran going to the end zone. Great throw from Meeser, and it's in. 9-4 the score now, and absolutely, you just said it, one of the best possessions we've seen from the Hammerheads so far in this game.
Give their offensive guys a little time to sit down and breathe. You can only play so many points before it starts to wear on you and fatigue starts to set in, and it's especially apparent when you're on offense if you're fatigued because it takes such mechanical timing and finesse.
Light rain beginning to fall again here in New York. As we see the Manhattan skyline in the background. We're on Randall's Island, just outside of the Icon Stadium, one of the bigger outdoor venues in New York City. And the Empire offense moving it here now. It's Jack Marsh with it. He's going to dump it to Canetti. Canetti holding and getting it up the field to Taylor Brooks, and Brooks is going to juice it, looking for Jack Marsh in the end zone. It's going to float up and be contested. Jack Marsh goes up and roofs the defender, Andrew Manganelli, ending up on a poster on that one. 10-4 the score now, and Marsh making another great play in this game.
Yeah, the waning moments of the half are always some of the most exciting, especially because in the last 30 seconds or so it becomes a free-for-all trying to get to the end zone. Much like the last play or two of a NFL football game. And, I think we're still in line for a good half and a good finish to this half of exciting Ultimate.
So the pull is up from the Empire. And it's going to float down into the middle of the end zone, one of the deeper pulls we've seen today. And to go out to the sideline. Move it up the sideline. Jacob Price with it. He's going to get it to Meeser. Gibran dumps it back. And Kyle Golrick is going to swing it to Frank Harris. We do see Harris continuing to match up with Joe Babino. Those two in a little bit of a scuffle earlier in the game as we watch an inside-out flick go straight into the ground, and the Empire will have a chance here to extend this lead. Luong with the disc, floats it out to the outside. Ben Ivers looking, but gets it back to Wong. Wong holding, and now is going to find Izzy Bryant. Bryant swings it to the sideline for Drost. Nice strike cut from Bryant. He's going to attack, make the fake. They won't get into the end zone there, but now he will go to the end zone. And the layout, not enough, as Brenton Hard comes down with the disc on the nice cut to the side of the end zone. 11-4 now. And really after that first game, which came right down to the wire, the Empire didn't have much trouble putting down the Phoenix, and they'll be the favorites heading into Wildwood.
Yeah, you have to wonder if the Phoenix were able to pull off that pretty epic comeback, would things be different? Would their little series at the end of the season have been different? And would they, be the favorite going into the playoffs?
Kenny Colello moves it up the sideline, and we see a quick turnover there after the poor throw from Eric Aya. So Bryant will pick up, looking to extend this lead to 8. Grenier gets it back to Bryant. Now to Wong, who finds Drost. Nice cut from him. And Drost is going to go right into the end zone for Babino. And that's an easy offensive possession for the D-line. 12-4 with 14 seconds to go here in the first half. The Empire with an 8-point lead. And New Jersey looking to shave that to 7 here, the end of the first half. Here's the pull from Joe Babino.
Floaty pull.
So they're going to put it up, standard pull. It's going to come down, and it might actually end up out of bounds. It's going to land. They're going to let it land. And now the clock will start now that he's picked up the disc. It's going to be a zone look from the Empire. That might be a great idea, forcing the long swing. Time ticking down here. Only about 4 seconds left here. Time running out. Referees taking a look at the clock here. It's going to go into the middle. And now around to the outside for Brownlee. Hammer over the top. And now gets back into the middle. And now they're going to go to the end zone looking for Brownlee. But Brownlee is going to let Eric Wang end up with the score in the back of the end zone.
Oh, okay. So I think that we just had the time wrong. The announcers announced it as 14 seconds left. I think there was 1 minute and 14 seconds left, because now there are 40 left. And the Hammerheads certainly weren't moving with the urgency that we expected.
Well, there's no on-field clock here in New York, and it does make it difficult. So we're relying on the public address announcer for our timing.
Yeah, that's too bad. That was some of our best analysis of the day.
So we get all prepared for a 14 seconds remaining situation, and now it's going to be the Empire really looking to move, not necessarily with a lot of speed, but 40 seconds, meaning that they need to be aware of the clock.
Yeah. They would have to string together one of their longer possessions of the day.
Unfortunately for the players, they're also relying on the PA announcer, and not necessarily easy to hear when you're right out there on the field.
All right. Especially with maybe the biggest crowd turnout of the season.
Yeah, there's a lot of fans out here. Some New Jersey fans, a lot of New York fans, of course. But everybody braving the somewhat rainy weather to come out to the final AUDL game of the season here. So it's going to be an instant deep look. Goose Santosis looking for Jack Marsh. Jack Marsh going up and almost cleaning up at the back end of the play is Cat Stevens, but he can't quite get to it. So now it'll be the Hammerheads with a chance to close out this half with a score.
Maybe they'll do what we just expected them to do.
They're going to go down the field here, and now they're going to be in a position to score. It comes into the middle for Steve Willis. Willis is going to dish to Matt Tackeron. And Tackeron's going to go into the end zone, but that's going to be very contested. And although Cat Stevens almost completely missed the disc in the air, it won't matter as time expires here in the first half.
A little bit different into the half than we expected, but strong showing by the Hammerheads at the end. They got that D, and they almost put together a 2-point run to close the gap a little bit at the end. But the Empire have to feel good about the lead they've built themselves, and I'm sure that they're going into halftime, looking at the second half as a learning opportunity more so than a competitive endeavor.
12-5 the score at the end of the first half. We'll be back at the start of the second. You're watching Ultiworld's coverage of the AUDL and the New York Empire. We're back for the second half of action. New Jersey Hammerheads. 12-5 the score here at halftime. New York Empire pulling to start the second half. And it'll be New Jersey moving the disc up the field here as the sun starts to poke through the clouds here in Manhattan. A little over-the-top throw to Marquez Brownlee. Brownlee looking. He's going to get it off. John Lee finds Brownlee again, and Brownlee's going to put it into the end zone. And it's a great start to the half for the New Jersey Hammerheads. 12-6 the score. So the Empire offensive line back out on the field. No serious substitutions here so far from Coach Gibbons. Got all the stars out there. Carnegie, Marsh, Canetti. So Auerbach's going to pick up, find Goose Santosis. Goose will swing it to Canetti, finds Carnegie. Carnegie looking for Marsh and is going to float it out to the line for Marsh. And now Marsh is going to go into the end zone, and it's going to be a layout grab for the score. The New York crowd loving it. 13-6 now. The Empire looking great there, putting throws to where only the Empire receivers can get to them. And now, sun really coming through the clouds here. Storms have passed over top of New York. And fans enjoying some cooler, pleasant weather here. And now we have an offsides called against the Hammerheads. So it'll be the Empire pulling from further up the field. And it'll be the Hammerheads who get penalized with the deep pull here.
Yeah, and this is a more dangerous side too, because the wind's going with the Hammerhead, so they should be able to pull this pretty much as far as they would have before under normal conditions.
Empire defense getting set to pull. They'll watch to make sure they don't go offsides. They don't, and the pull is not a good one at all. It only goes about half the way to the goal and flies well out of bounds. So New Jersey watches that penalty get nullified.
Yeah, it's very nice of the Empire to do that for him.
So it will give a chance for the Empire D-line to get set. Izzy Bryant poaching in the lane here. And it'll swing to the sideline for Colello. And Colello's going to throw a huge hammer over the top. And what a throw over the top of the defense. Not into the end zone, however. So the Hammerheads will now have to try to take care of the disc here as they try to punch it in. They get it to Brownlee. Brownlee going to the end zone, but what an incredible layout block from Lou Wong. And after a picture-perfect hammer, the Hammerheads just can't get it into the end zone. So it'll be the D-line going back down the field and trying to punch it in to extend this lead.
That's a heartbreaker for the Hammerheads after a great throw like that to be on the end zone line and then have a huge play happen in the opposite direction. Kills any momentum they built up.
Lou Wong going full extension for the block in the end zone. So now it'll come to him on the sideline. A lot of cutters downfield, but some clutter. So he'll swing it back around to Bryant. Bryant's going to flip it out into the far space for Ben Ivers. Ivers into the middle for Hage. Hage holding. Now swinging to Bryant. Wong to the end zone. And he connects with Drost for the score. So the Empire taking away the disc after the best throw we've seen all game.
On both
50-yard
sides.
hammer over the top of the
Absolutely.
D. But then Brownlee tried to punch it in, and Luong made a spectacular effort in the end zone.
New York! New York!
The pull's up from the Empire D-line, and then the Hammerheads will look to get a little bit of momentum going here in the third quarter as he tries to throw a high-release flick and can't get it off. That's Jacob Price with the turnover, so now the Empire get it into the hands of Izzy Bryant. Izzy Bryant going to go over the top with a hammer, but that one never really had a chance. Floated way up.
Yeah.
Easy for the Hammerhead defenders to get underneath it.
Especially since you had a taller defender back there waiting for a hammer's not quite like other throws. It's waiting for that to drop. It's impossible to really time. Taller guy usually comes out on top in that situation.
That is what happened there. So, some discussion on the field of where the disc should get tapped in on the line. They'll get it worked out, and the disc is live. Zone look here from the Empire. It's one of their junkier looks. They've used this with great success so far this season. Just giving teams a little bit of a different look. New Jersey working it. Now in more of a man, and it's going to be, looked like it might have been a strip there. Matt Lamar sort of ripping that disc out of the hands of the Hammerheads receiver. Price arguing to the ref that it was in his hands, and he's going to get the call.
He got the call, and it looks like because the Empire came out there and defended him, they were calling, the players on the field basically made that call like you would see in a normal game. That was just a call, no contest.
Spirit rule allows players to overrule referees if the call that they're making goes against them. As we see Brenton Hard go around on Harris and slap the disc. Definitely not a legal play, but something you get away with pretty frequently here in the AUDL. And now they're going to go downfield, and it's not a good throw there from Harris. So the Empire defense with the disc in their hands again. The big lead here. Disc in the hands of Hard, and he's going to go down the field, and it's going to go over everybody's head. Mike Dross, the intended receiver. And it looks like we've got a foul called on the mark. Harris got a piece of Hard as he was throwing the disc. It'll be a 10-yard penalty against the Hammerheads. The disc will come back. Now live. It's Hard. Hage with it on the sideline. Hage going upfield to a handful of Hammerheads defenders, but nobody really had their eye on the disc.
Yeah, it's tough for them to know that there had been a foul on the mark, even if it wasn't called. Just calling it like I see it. There's a foul on the mark.
Drost in coverage. Goes down the field here to Austin Bonelli. Bonelli dishes to Scott Hampton. Gets it to Kyle Gulrick. And Gulrick's going to turn it over. And the turnovers continue for New Jersey. It's been a poorly played game on offense.
Yeah, that's really all you can say about it. It has not been smooth.
Bemis is going to dish to Bryant, and Bryant's going to throw the blade across the field, looking for Drost, and Drost is going to catch it in the end zone for the Empire. Score. It's a great throw for Bryant.
Bit of a confusing end to that point. It looked like everyone had stopped a little bit, and they were looking around for what was happening, and Bryant saw a man with some space in Drost and just put it out to where he could get it. He's just very calculated and has a good sense of when he can fit the disc into a spot, and he takes his shots. He's not scared.
D-line's going to put it up again. We see some substitutions. Bryant, after the nice throw, going to take the sideline, get a little rest. He's been playing a lot. And it's the Empire After a close start, running away with this game using a 5-0 run in the first quarter and in the early part of the second to open up a big lead. Now they lead by 9. Hammerheads looking to get on the board here. They're going to go to Marquez Brownlee in the back of the end zone. Nice throw there. Eric Aya finding Brownlee, and it's now 15-7. So the Empire offense back out on the field. And we still see no substitutions off this O-line. Trying to get them some reps together. And really, the Empire are probably starting to approach this a little bit like practice. Trying to work on some things. Keep the flow good. See Santosis go around to Auerbach, who finds Marsh. And now Marsh is going to put it up to the end zone. It's going to be looking for Hussein Carnegie, but everybody in the area, Hussein's going to lay out. Can't come down with it. Good defense there from Brownlee. Yeah. Hussein went up early, but that's a tough play to make with the disc coming straight over the top of your head.
Yeah, especially with a taller defender following you right behind. You know, Hussein very often beats a taller guy, but he's very rarely put up against a taller guy who has the same type of athleticism he possesses.
Dish to the sideline there from Heinam Gehring, and it's going to be a turnover for the Hammerheads, and now it'll go into the end zone for the Empire. Jack Marsh with the easy score, cutting into the open space, and a nice around backhand there from Canetti. The Empire comfortable, obviously got a win on the road against the Phoenix earlier this season.
Yeah, it's a fantastic spot for a playoff game between those two squads. Pretty much equidistant, and with both fan bases largely already in attendance at Wildwood.
Here's Gibran. Thought about going deep. Instead, throws the backhand around and come right back to him. Now he'll go up the field. And now it'll be a deep shot as they look to the end zone, but the Empire defense gets to the spot first. Ben Ivers with the nice play in the end zone.
Yeah, and that was a great play by Ben to come off the guy he was defending and make the switch. You know, Empire have been good at that all year and just keeps moving.
The chemistry of this Empire team has dramatically improved since we first saw them play here in Randall's Island. Some of the home games played out in Brooklyn in the Rockaways at the Aviator Field. But we close out the season here back on Randall's Island as Luong throws that disc out too far in front. And it's Phil Kay unable to reel it in. So Weintraub will pick up for the Hammerheads. He swings it into the middle. And really, for the most part, New Jersey hasn't had trouble getting open. They've simply thrown it away or dropped the disc as they go to the end zone here, and it's a nice grab in the end zone. Andrew Manganelli making the great snag at the front of the end zone there. So it's an 8-point lead here for the Empire. 2:45 to go here in the third quarter. Brownlee getting set to pull for the Hammerheads. And here's the pull. It's a good pull, but it's trailing out of bounds, and so it'll get
wide fields. Wide fields.
We've talked about all season these wide fields. It's deceiving, and as we see a big layout from Canetti trying to clean up that throw from Auerbach and won't be able to. So now the D-line with an opportunity to get a score here for the Hammerheads. It'll go into the end zone, and it'll be a two-handed grab with Canetti and Hussein in coverage. And so the gap now just 7 for the Hammerheads. And, you know, you might say, oh, it's impossible, but we've already seen this season a 6-point lead evaporate for the Empire in just one quarter. Pull is up from Eric Aya for the Hammerheads, and it'll come to Canetti in the end zone. He'll center it to Goose. Santosis swings it to the sideline. Comes around to Canetti. Canetti's going to find Taylor Brooks. Cat Stevens had a couple of steps on Brownlee deep, and now we see a huge layout block from the Hammerheads. And so now Aya picking up, and they'll have a chance to cut this lead to 6. Nice dish there to the sideline for Gibran. Comes back to Aya. He'll come around. These are the situations that the Hammerheads have had difficulty scoring in. They'll go to the end zone here, and they'll reel it in. And all of a sudden, with the Scott Hampton score, New York has to start thinking about, well, we need to be careful here. Goose Santosis, who's coming off of an injury, comes to the sideline, and he'll be replaced by Lu Wong, normally the defensive specialist. And the disc will come to Wong as they start this offensive possession. He'll get it to Auerbach. Finds Stevens. Here's Brooks. Brooks going to put it to the end zone for Marsh, but a throw might trail out of bounds. Marsh going to try to make a play, but well out of bounds. And so the Hammerheads again with the disc on offense on a D-line point.
Yeah, I thought that was a good throw, but just trailed a little bit too far outside for Marsh to get to. Maybe if they would have switched that combo up, had Jack throwing it, because that guy just seems to put it on a dime. But yeah, now the Hammerheads working their way back down the field, going for 3 in the last minute and a half.
Here's Gibran. He'll get it to Price. Comes back to Price. Gibran's got some separation on Carnegie. They're going to go to the end zone, but Cat Stevens in the area. And Cat Stevens, and a huge catch in the back of the end zone. Was he in bounds? Referees haven't signaled yet. They're looking to each other, but I don't know that either of them really had a good look at the play. It was a catch. The question is, was it in bounds in the back of the end zone? And it's going to be out of bounds. The player who caught the disc called himself out of bounds. The referees never made a call. So it'll be Empire disc, Auerbach picking up. And
that was exceptional stuff.
That was a great play just to get a hand on that disc.
Yeah, it was a great play by the defender, Stevens, to get over, separate from his man, and make a play on another guy's offensive player. And
we see a throw from Brooks, not on the target, to Bryant, and Bryant can't handle it with the defender in the area. So Gibran now with the disc, he's going to throw a blade into the end zone, and it was a great throw, honestly. Andrew Manganelli in the end zone, unable to come down with it. It was in his hand, however. So now it's going to be Marsh ripping the flick down the field. It's going to go to Stevens, who macks it into the air. And what an incredible play for the score. Taylor Brooks comes down with it.
That was honestly the most amazing thing I've seen in the AUDL so far.
The intentional mac leading to the score for the Empire at the end of the third quarter. And that's as remarkable as a play as you'll see in any game. And that play would be illegal in USA Ultimate rules. You're not allowed to intentionally mac the disc, but you've got to love the play here in the AUDL. They've made that a legal play.
I love that.
And what a play there.
Well, the impressive thing to me is really that Stevens has kind of internalized the rules to such a point that he even thought to do that. Because if you have not played enough AUDL games, you would not even consider making that play.
Instead, he gets the D in the far end zone, comes all the way back down the field, and essentially gets the bookend score. He doesn't catch the actual goal, but what a brilliant assist. You've got to love the play. So we're at the end here of the third quarter. We'll be back for the fourth in just a moment. You're watching Ultiworld's coverage of the AUDL and the New York Empire here in beautiful Manhattan, New York. People still buzzing in the crowd about the spectacular play at the end of the third as Cat Stevens popped the disc into the air intentionally for Taylor Brooks to close out the quarter with a score.
From here, easily the play of the year. Obviously, because we're so used to a game that doesn't allow that in the club side, it's something I've never seen before.
And you have to say, it does add an element of excitement to the game. And
especially now, I feel like a lot of these guys hadn't even really considered doing something like that before, but once you see it completed in a game, that just changes everything.
Will we see it again? You wonder.
It's like the first time somebody completes a trick in snowboarding, then everybody else tries to do it.
Santosis goes to the end zone, and what a grab from Canetti past the laying out defender. That kind of momentum carries them into the fourth. They score right away, and now this game feels out of reach again for the Hammerheads, who thought, maybe we're thinking at the end of the third, maybe we can get back into this. this.
Yeah, they seem to have shaken off the complacency that we saw when Santosis let his man get a D by not running through the disc. That was pretty much the epitome of it from where I'm sitting, and luckily they squashed any notion of a comeback.
Nice interception there from the Empire. It'll come to Wong. The Hammerheads offense looking good until that throwaway. So this comes to the middle for Drost. Drost bumped a little bit on the mark there from Bonelli. Now this disc is going to float into traffic. Everybody going up, and it looked like it was in Lamar's hands, but then was knocked out. He's looking for the call from the referees.
Who's very visibly shaking his head no.
And the referees are signaling not a foul. Should be Hammerhead disc here. Charlie Patton holding. And now maybe Patton agreeing that Lamar had the disc in his hands, because the referees had signaled Hammerhead disc.
This is one of the situations the referees were supposed to help avoid.
And it will, in fact, be Empire disc. So I believe the Hammerheads overruled that with the Spirit rule. And
seemingly, it was really hard to tell because their body language was not saying, let's give the disc back to the other guys.
One of the problems that we see a travel here, it's going to be a 10-yard penalty against the Empire. One of the things that the AUDL needs to work on is getting more consistent calls and hand signals from the referees. It's very difficult to know what's going on the field. They don't have mics, as they do in many professional sports, so without a mic, you do need some consistent hand signals to know what's happening. Here's Bryant with a disc 5 yards outside the Empire end zone. He's going to throw the IO flick into the end zone, and he finds Matt Lamar for the score. The lead back to 8 here in New York. Time ticking down here in the fourth. 18-10 the score. Pull goes up from Hard. And it'll float down into the end zone for Eric Wong. Here's Joe Friedman. Gets it right back to Wong. Poachy lane look from the Empire, trying to stop the upfield throw. It's a little bit of a zone, in fact. Very loose zone. It's one of the junk looks they've thrown at teams. A lot of contact on that one, and there will be a call. 10-yard penalty against the Empire. See players quickly playing through that, not expecting the call even.
That's one of the frustrating things I think about the refereed game is, that call seems pretty obvious, but it's really not an automatic call by any means.
Brownlee goes to the end zone and it's caught, and the contact from Bryant causing the disc to come out. So it will be a score for the Hammerheads. Now 18-11. Great catch in the end zone there.
Fantastic.
Over the top of a good defensive effort from Bryant.
Yeah, it's one of the more difficult things when you're going up for a disc is when it's right over your head and you have to jump and turn your body like that. There's almost no way to land on your feet.
So 7-point lead for the New York Empire. And Wes, any playoff predictions?
Well, based on the way the last few weeks have gone for the Empire, especially with their kind of mini-series with the Phoenix, I don't want to jinx them, but I have to say I'm expecting a bit of a blowout. And, I think that everyone's on the same page when they say the Rush are probably going to take this half of the league. If not, pretty automatically the league in general.
Big backhand from Jack Marsh. Hussein Carnegie holding off the defender and coming down with it. He bodied Brownlee all the way down the field, went up and made the play. And it's another highlight reel play from the New York Empire, and it's been an exciting game so far, despite the little bit of a blowout that we have here in New York.
Oh, absolutely. And, you know, Carnegie did a great job there fighting off some contact from behind. It looked like he was almost a little bit out of control because of it before he went up for that disc. But, you know, as we've seen time and time again, the guy just has springs attached to his legs, and he was able to get up there when he needed to.
Brownlee has gotten the better of Carnegie a couple times earlier in this game, and you see now maybe Carnegie making the adjustment to be a little bit more physical. That was also a better throw than the ones he's had to deal with earlier in the game.
And, you know, Carnegie, he came into this game having played 3 already this morning. That's a, you know, clear disadvantage when for the first time maybe of the season he's going up against somebody with very similar athleticism and size to him. You know, I think he's done a pretty good job, all things considered. Certainly not the impact player that we've seen him be in the past, but, you know, they really haven't needed him to be either. So it may be that he's intentionally taken a little bit of a back seat to rest those legs.
Pull comes down into the end zone for Weintraub. Up the middle to Gibran. Here's Gibran. Dishes it back. Now Benelli. Weintraub tries to throw that one a little quickly, and it's snatched out of the air. Great effort from Brenton Hard, and he'll get it ahead to Lou Wong. Wong looking and throwing the inside-out flick to Bryant. Bryant goes up the line to Babino, takes the contact. Babino's going to get it to Wong, sliding catch. Now just outside the end zone, Long's going to flip it up and into the end zone for Izzy Bryant. Perfect touch on that throw from Lou Wong. And it's the Empire extending this lead some more in this fourth quarter.
Yeah, the Wong-Bryant combo is just a set of guys I love watching, especially knowing their past, you know, both coming up in the New York Ultimate scene, playing against each other through college, and then finally, you know, having spent most of their time as opponents, uniting and just, you know, seemingly being an instant hit. They've had chemistry from day one, and they both play pretty different styles. They just happen to, you know, be familiar enough with one another, have, you know, spend enough time developing that chemistry off the field, spend enough time in practice developing. They're just, you know, they know where the other one's going to be, and they know how to adjust to the other one's, you know, dissimilar playing style.
Wong, a natural talent in Ultimate, plays smooth game, great break throws, and Bryant, more of a sort of a brawler on the field, physical, likes to use his explosiveness more, and, you know, the contrasting styles, they work together on this defensive line.
Yeah.
Both guys able to generate blocks and then can really work together to move the disc back and forth and distribute ably to the cutters on that D-line.
Yeah, and I think really the exclamation point was earlier when we saw the Wong, you know, kind of throwaway. He wasn't throwing to Bryant, who it seemed probably would have known to go where he was throwing that disc.
Quick turnover from the Hammerheads.
How many times are you going to say that today?
It's been a few. I do believe we're going to have a call, however. We have a 10-yard penalty here. That was a bump on the mark called against Auerbach. Charlie Patton with the disc. Patton swings. Up the line to Aya. Into the middle for Gibran. Good defense there, but it's going to go up the line safely. Benelli with it. Benelli's going to throw the hammer into the end zone. Caught everybody off guard. Nice throw from Austin Benelli to Scott Hampton in the end zone for the Hammerhead score. And the Empire really have been one of the more defensively innovative teams in the league, I would say.
Definitely.
We've watched a lot of teams come through New York, and no team plays the varied kinds of defensive sets that the Empire do. Their offense back out on the field right now, however, is Cat Stevens, and he gets it to Jack Marsh. Marsh going to flip it out for Auerbach, who calls off Stevens, and Stevens busts for the end zone, and it's a perfect throw from Bucky to Cat Stevens in the end zone, and it's more excellent offense from the New York Empire.
It's fantastic.
Pull is up. And it's going to float down here, 5 yards in front of the end zone. It's going to be a quick defensive effort there, but not able to get a hand on it. And now they'll go to the end zone looking for Brownlee. Look at the speed from Marquez Brownlee, who catches it easily in stride. Perfect throw to Marquez Brownlee, and it's like you just said, Wes, where is this all game? And so, you know, obviously we've been following mostly the Eastern Division here of the AUDL. Any thoughts about the Western Division? It looks like Windy City is going to be the 1 seed, Madison the 2, and Indianapolis, who held off a rising Minnesota wind chill team with a couple of dominant wins, going to be the 3. So it'll be Madison and Indy in the first round. Indianapolis has not beaten Madison this season, but they have believed all season that they'll be able to get that win. Do you see it?
I honestly don't, Charlie. And, you know, Madison is just it is, you know, lives and breathes Ultimate at this point, and I have the feeling that that's not going to change anytime soon, and I expect that Madison will be able to come over Indy probably by a dominant margin, and then probably fall to the Wildfire. I'd expect, you know, that's the outcome I would expect. That's what the seeds kind of predict, and, you know, as good as I think the Wildfire are, that final matchup.
Carnegie into the end zone for Taylor Brooks. Bit of a dangerous throw, but Brooks makes the play over Brownlee, and it's an Empire score.
Very few of the other teams did. Yeah, I mean, I expect the Rush to take it, and probably by a sizable margin again.
The Rush hoping to finish out a entirely undefeated season in the AUDL, and they can win the regular season undefeated tomorrow as we watch the Hammerheads turn it over. Here's Wong with it now. The Rush with a game against the Philadelphia Phoenix. It's actually the closest game they've had all year, was early in the season against Philadelphia on the road, where they only managed to win by 1 point. They'll probably be expecting a tough game as we see the disc go into the end zone for the Empire, and there's a lot of contact, and there is going to be a push called. So referees figuring out what to do with the disc here. Matt Lamar had good position on that disc and got pretty heavily bumped from behind.
I thought he was going to come down with it. I also thought that he got hit on the wrist a little bit.
Referees conferring, and the disc will come in on the goal line for Lamar. So the Empire in their end zone set. And they'll punch it right in. Just clever cutting there from Ben Ivers. Just running sort of a loop around Austin Bonelli and getting open into that front cone. 4:31 to go here in the fourth quarter. And fans enjoying a final game here on a very pleasant summer evening in Manhattan. I'd like to thank you so much for following the New York Empire season here with us on Ultiworld. And we've watched a lot of wins here at home. 7-1. The Empire are going to finish out the season here at home. And the Hammerheads really running out of time in this game, and it was a tough season for them, but their talent should make it possible for them to recover next season and really play a much better game. Interception there for Izzy Bryant. And now they're going to go to the end zone looking for Dross. Dross going to go up.
Great catch.
Gets a lot of contact there from Gibran, but it will not matter. He brings it down, and the Empire have been ruling the skies today. This past July 4th holiday weekend, the U.S. Open took place in Raleigh, North Carolina, one of the premier USA Ultimate events with some of the top teams in the world in attendance. And watching some of the games, even the ones that were broadcast on ESPN, it was frustrating to watch as they just got ground to a halt by calls, many of which I think, certainly many of which would not be called by a referee,
right,
and many of which were completely illegitimate.
Right, and another frustrating thing was watching on TV and being able to see the observers get calls wrong. There's one point in the final that Ironside had a point taken away from them because of a call that was made both by the player defending and the observer. And the replay before the discussion even finished showed everyone at home what the right call should have been.
That's going to happen with observers and referees. Any sort of third-party official is going to make mistakes, and that's part of the game. And it's to be expected. And I think players largely, there are many players who don't like the refereed game, but there are many who do. And they, I think, both accept the reality of that. And it's a different atmosphere. It's a different game.
Yeah.
And I don't know that we're closer to saying which is better. There may not be one that is better. They're just different.
Really, and I've talked about this with people before, but I would really love to see out of Ultimate, especially now that we have so many games that are televised, or at least online. We have coverage, we have access to instant replay. Why not leap the other, sports and go straight to using instant replay to make calls? Just like I said during the ESPN's coverage last weekend, people at home knew the right call while the people on the field never did. And we knew it immediately. Why not, have them with a microphone and an earpiece so that somebody in the booth could tell them what the call is and not have a discussion about it?
Carnegie punches in the score to Bryant. And as time winds down here in the fourth, the Empire leading the Hammerheads 25-13. And when the game started, it didn't necessarily look like it would end up as a 12-point blowout, but here we are.
Yeah.
The Empire have just been the sharper team. I can't point to any particular things that they've done remarkably better except take care of the disc.
Score. That's really what they've done better, is they've managed to score. And that's why we welcome you now to the non sequitur portion of our coverage, where we chat for a little while.
Long games here in the AUDL, and with a game like this that doesn't mean much, we start to turn our attention to the wider aspects of the sport and the upcoming playoffs.
One thing that I will say about this game is that I'm pretty impressed that a game with such low stakes and that was so gritty in the beginning, that the refs were able to get it under control, get the players under control, and we saw a little skirmish early on, and we haven't really seen anything like that since. That's, I give a lot of credit to both the teams for keeping their cool and for the referees for intervening when they did, making sure that this game that really could have gotten out of hand physically never did.
Absolutely, and along with that, it's been a really fun game.
Oh, tons of plays.
A lot of exciting plays, good offense at times from both teams, and some exciting Ds like the one we just saw right there from Chris Grenier. Layout block on the far side. Bryant gonna pick it up here. Disc comes to the middle for Lamar, and he's gonna overthrow his intended receiver on the sideline. It's Nick Dacey. So it's going to be the Hammerheads moving back up the field. Price moves it into the middle. They'll move it all the way around to the far sideline for Bonelli. Benelli goes up the line. And now they'll look into the end zone and come down with it for the score. So Empire offense trots back out onto the field.
So that's a rarity right there. You don't see Mike Dross get beat in the end zone very often. I think that's a product of the situation more than it is, and no offense to the Hammerheads, but it just didn't look like he cared that much about getting that D.
So the game winding down here in New York City. Lights just came on, and this pull is going to go
I might catch this one.
way up, and it looks like it's going to float into the stands. Who's going to catch it? It's actually going to go over the top of the bleachers, and some children playing behind the bleachers are going to have to throw that disc back in, and he threw that better than the puller did.
He at least got it closer to the field.
So it's going to be Goose Santosis tapping it in here. Marquez Brownlee in coverage. Dishes to Canetti. Canetti fakes. Comes back for the dump. Jack Marsh double teamed on the sideline. Throws out of it easily. High release flick. Nice throw. 1 minute to go here in the fourth quarter as Auerbach puts it to the end zone. A lot of people in the area. Hussein Carnegie tries to make a play on it, nearly does, but had to go up early with all of the defenders down there. And so with less than a minute to go, it's going to be the Hammerheads looking to close out both of these teams' AUDL seasons with a final score. Comes up the middle to Brownlee. And Brownlee's going to rip the backhand up the field. Is it going to hang in the air long enough? Lay out into the end zone. And a pretty score from the Hammerheads. 33 seconds to go here. New York still holding on to a 10-point lead here.
Yeah, and if you want to know our thoughts about this, refer back to about a minute and 17 seconds left in the first half, because we pretty much gave our the best analysis we could of the last 30 seconds of a game. It's really, without anything on the line, it's a little bit different. I don't see them really planning too heavily for this, but the strategy is the same. Teams are going to come out, hopefully work the disc down the field with 30 seconds, which is pretty much, like you said, an eternity in this game. But, if they're not to the end zone, we're going to see a big put, and then we're going to see a big play, hopefully. It's some of the most exciting points of the season. Was it CJ Ouellette with the last-second grab in one of the first games we did? One of the biggest plays in my memory of the season.
So the disc coming down here, it's going to be into the hands of Seth Canetti, and you wonder, maybe the Empire just run out the clock here. Really no reason for them to try to score here at the last. Maybe they want to finish the season with a score. It's going to come around to Canetti. That's going to float up, though, and it's going to be intercepted by the Hammerheads. They're going to look to the end zone. Auerbach in coverage, but it's a perfect throw, and it's going to get brought down in the end zone. Matt Takaron with the score, and now it's a 9-point game. And just a few seconds to go here in the fourth quarter and the regular season.
13 seconds left. Maybe we'll get one more big highlight play.
We may. And there's going to be a timeout called by the Hammerheads who want to set up this final play. Of course, it's not really going to make much of a difference what they do here, but, it's the end of their season. Obviously, the Empire have a game to look forward to in 2 weeks.
Does somebody have money on how long this game lasts?
I don't think Vegas takes bets on professional ultimate
Not yet.
If
Not
they
length
did,
of
we
game.
could be rich. What would you have put the spread at on this game?
Spread on this game? Considering the records, probably around 7.
7.
Early in this game, I probably would have had her down around 2, 3. The line probably would have moved if we were in Vegas. But, the 7 points, I think, is a pretty standard win for two teams of these respective calibers in the AUDL. And probably the final time out of the season for the New Jersey Hammerheads here. You wonder what they're saying in the huddle. I mean, what does the coach say in this situation? Obviously, you're not going to win the game. Good season, guys. don't hurt each other right now. Let's all make it home without any concussions.
Empire offense out on the line. We see no Hussein Carnegie. Lu Wang in there, along with Jack Marsh, Goose Santosis, Seth Canetti, Cat Stevens. Mainstays of this O-line.
Right.
And it's a wonderful time at night here.
It really is.
We would be getting a sunset normally, but the overcast skies is just the perfect light. Icon Stadium in the background, Manhattan behind it. And
great way to close the season out, Charlie.
great way to close the season.
Yeah.
So just a few seconds to go here in the fourth quarter. It's going to be the Empire receiving on offense.
It's really hard to know what the Empire is expecting to do right now, but I think it probably boils down to a few guys streaking deep, hopefully getting the disc to probably half field. 13 seconds left. You know, that's enough time for 2-3 throws, easy.
It's a rolling pull from the Hammerheads, and I do wonder, are they going to try to go for the score? Are they going to look to just put it down, just kind of put it in back and forth between the handlers and run the clock out? It does look like that's what they're going to do. So it's going to be the hammer over the top to Jack Marsh.
You know,
5 seconds to go. Marsh fakes the backhand, and he's going to throw it up into the sky.
And that's
and everybody's looking to catch it, and it's going to be Lu Wang making the catch.
I think that's the classy move in this situation. Why milk it, Leo?
The fans giving an appreciative gesture to the players who closed out this season with a win over the New Jersey Hammerheads. The final score, New York 25, New Jersey 16, as they line up for high fives and a goodbye to the AUDL regular season.
Right. It's been good. We've seen tons of highlights, tons of big plays. You know, like we mentioned earlier, not really the most competitive games. A lot of these have been blowouts, but you know, as the hometown announcers, it's been nice to see our hometown squad only fall once in front of us.
7-1, the Empire finish at home. The loss coming to the undefeated Toronto Rush, who they hope to meet in the Eastern Conference Finals in Chicago in a couple of weeks. But first, they'll have to get through the Philadelphia Phoenix in 2 weeks at Wildwood, and it should be a great game. We may well have coverage of that game here on Ultiworld. Still working out the details of the live streaming coverage, but we will see. And for now, Charlie Eisenhood alongside Wes Kronk and Orion Burr doing an excellent job on the camera. We'd like to thank you so much for being here with us throughout this AUDL season. And we'll see you in the club season and next year in the pro leagues.
Take care, everybody.